Okay, so this is part 2 of looking at the 90-word question on the AQA GCSE French Writing paper on the foundation tier. It's the last question, question 4, and on the higher tier paper it's question 1. It's the easier question. So whichever tier you do, you will need to know how to access the marks on this paper, and hopefully you've already seen part 1 that takes you through the requirements and the mark scheme and how to tick all the boxes to get full marks. If not, do go back and find part 1 first. Now we're going to look at putting that into practice. So we've chosen our question. We've marked off which is asking for a past tense, which bullet point wants a past tense, which one wants a future tense. And now we're ready to start. So we're going to go in order. We don't have to, but I always think it makes it easiest for us to make sure we know we've done everything if we go in the order of the question. So opinion on fast food. Remember, votre means your. So we don't want votre or vos. They both mean your in our answer at all. Nor do we want the word opinion. I wouldn't say my opinion of fast food is. That's unnecessarily complicated. I'm just going to start with j'aime le fast food, but I am going to use the word fast food out of the question. I'm not going to just talk about burgers and chips. I want it to be the exact word that the examiners used, and then it's easier for the examiner to see that I've ticked off the bullet point. So I like fast food. However, I may use examples as I go on. So I could actually go par exemple, je mange. For example, I eat. And that's a really useful phrase, par exemple. Just remember that it's an E, not an A in French, and we're using the word par, not pour, which is usually the word for. Par exemple, well worth learning that little phrase. For example, I eat. Now, when I eat fast food, I always have burger and chips, but I'm not actually sure what the word for a burger is. So what I might do is I might tweak the truth a bit, because I do know the word for chicken. Remember, it's always best to make sure you're accurate. So don't take any risks with the truth. It's not imperative. You don't have to use. It's not necessary all the time to be truthful in these questions. What is important is that the examiner knows what you're trying to say and it fits the question. So I'm going to tell a little white lie. Je mange du poulet. I eat chicken et des frites. I know the word for McDonald's is McDo in French, so I could say et je vais au McDo. But actually, if I think about it, this is an opportunity where I could use a little bit of complexity. Remember those connectives that we wanted to try and include. If I change, et is a connective, but the word when would fit nicely there as well, which is a bit more higher level. So I like fast food. For example, I eat chicken and chips when I go to McDonald's. So that's a good way to put a little bit of complexity in. Always important to reread the sentence, particularly when they start getting long, so that it makes sense. I can say who I go to McDonald's with. So I could start off with normalement. Remember, it's good to keep including some time frames to make it clear that I'm in the present tense. Normalement, je vais au McDo avec mes amis. At the weekend, le weekend, there's another time phrase. And I can say c'est génial, it's great. But the problem with McDonald's, try and think about comparisons all the time. However, on the other hand, because there's always a plus and there's always a minus, so it's great. But the problem with McDonald's is I don't always have the money, so I could say mais c'est cher. And an easy little upgrade with this is I've repeated the c'est here. Mais c'est génial, mais c'est cher. Instead of using c'est all the time, if I learnt ça peut être, that's a really handy alternative. It can be, ça peut être. It can be. It's great, but it can be expensive. And then that just is a little bit different, a little bit of variety and complexity, because I'm actually using an infinitive there with être, which so it's an infinitive structure as well as variety. So normally I go to McDonald's, reread it. Normally I go to McDonald's with my friends at the weekend. It's great, but it can be expensive. Okay, so I've done that one, so I'm going to tick that one off, and on my exam I tick it, but I haven't got an easy way to tick it there, so I'll cross it off. New paragraph. I'm going to make a new paragraph every time I change bullet point. So in part 1 we decided this was activities about health, and it actually means your activities in order to keep fit. So that's quite a good one to keep in my answer. Pour garder la forme, because again that's an infinitive phrase, pour in order to. So I'm going to start with that. Pour garder la forme, in order to keep fit. Je joue au rugby. I've said with my friends already, so this time I'll go avec mon collège, just be a little bit different. I don't want to do everything with my friends because I want to have variety. Pour garder la forme, je joue au rugby avec mon collège. And then I'll say what I think about rugby. So I've used j'aime, so I'll have j'adore this time. J'adore le rugby. And parce que, I could give a reason, parce que c'est passionnant. Whoops. Because it's exciting. Going crazy with the doubles. So double S, double N, parce que c'est passionnant, because it's exciting. I feel a however coming on. Wherever there's a plus, there's a minus. Cependant, je pense que, here's a good opinion phrase as well. Je pense que c'est fatigant aussi. Also is a useful one to know. So I love rugby because it's exciting. However, I think that it's tiring too. And here's an opportunity to put a little bit more in it. I said in part 1, I said quantifiers like very and quite, they count as complex structures. So I could put a very in there, as long as I know that it's a grave accent pointing to the left. Lots of people get that accent wrong on très, so make sure you're not one of them. Cependant, je pense que c'est très fatigant aussi. In terms of generating content, another good one is to talk about other people. So I'm going to mention another sport. It's always a good idea to say more than one thing about a bullet point in case one thing isn't clear and goes wrong. So I could use the little phrase en plus. Furthermore, en plus, I've used je joue, so what else do I do to keep fit? I do swimming. Je fais de la natation. Je fais de la natation. Quelquefois, sometimes. I do swimming sometimes. And I can also talk about other people. You can mention negatives. You can put cependant or mais in to give the other side of the argument. Another content generator is to say what other people do or other people think. So en plus, je fais de la natation, mais mon frère. Now this is a really handy one to learn. Dit que. Dit que means says that. So, mais mon frère dit que, but my brother says that. C'est, he thinks that it's boring. So, barbant. I'm going to use barbant instead of ennuyeux because it's easier to spell. Okay. Third bullet point. Activité done. Third bullet point then. What you ate recently. So I'm going to start off with that time frame from the question, récemment, because that way I will definitely know that the examiner will definitely know I'm talking about the past, even if the verb goes wrong. But I do know how to say I ate. So récemment, j'ai mangé une salade. Keep it simple. Une salade avec des pâtes with some pasta. Why did I eat that? Well, the topic, remember, is health. So, parce que c'est bon pour la santé, because it's good for your health. And that uses lots of words as well, which is good. Dangerous to only use one past tense. Because if I keep, and if you quite easily get a little paragraph out of that bullet point by only using j'ai mangé. But the problem is, if you only use one past tense and it goes wrong, then you're straight down in the mark scheme to not having correctly used the past tense. So I'm also going to say et j'ai bu, and I drank, et j'ai bu de l'eau, and I drank some water. And actually now when I read it back recently, I ate a salad with pasta because it's healthy and I drank some water. I might want to move the because sentence afterwards. Don't have to, but I think that's a bit nicer now. Recently I ate salad with pasta and I drank some water because it's healthy. I could also say however. I'm going to use pourtant this time because I've already used cependant. Pourtant, le week-end dernier, j'ai mangé. Going to have to repeat j'ai mangé. J'ai mangé du chocolat. Keep it nice and simple. Mais c'était trop sucré, but it was too sweet. Okay, and that's a good one to include as well. It was. It's well worth learning how to spell it was, apostrophe and the acute accent there. Mais c'était trop sucré. Okay, last one then. Last one, a sport that I would like to do in the future. So similarly to last time, I'm going to start with the time phrase that's in the question so that the examiner knows what I'm doing. À l'avenir, je voudrais, there's a nice way into the future. Je voudrais jouer au tennis. I would like to play tennis parce que je pense que c'est je pense que c'est what could I say? It's really c'est vraiment facile. It's really easy. In the future, I would like to play tennis because I think that it's really easy, really a nice alternative to très. And then I'm also going to add another one, but I've used je voudrais, and if I get that wrong, I don't want to get it wrong more than once. I'm going to say je vais this time. Je vais aussi. In fact, I'll leave that till later in case it goes in the wrong place. So I'm going to say je vais jouer what else? A sport or golf aussi. I'm going to play golf also or too. Et ce sera reposant. So there's my equivalent of it was, it will be is well worth learning. Ce sera, it will be relaxing. In the future, I would like to play tennis because I think that it's really easy. I'm going to play golf too, and it will be relaxing. And there we go. I've mentioned all 4 bullet points, and very quickly, can I see that is 133 words. Done. There you go.